15 for 15. I am your host, John Zalkin from RKW Residential. 15 for 15 is a new and exciting video series where we interview several influential real estate people for 15 minutes each, where we will get their perspective on what's happening in real estate during COVID-19. A little bit about RKW. RKW Residential is an award-winning third-party multifamily property management firm with over 20,000 units under management and a growing footprint spanning 6 states. RKW delivers expertise in multifamily management through its technology, marketing, and customer experience platform. My guest today is Jared Elmar from the Geneva Group. Jared is managing partner of the Geneva Group. Since 1992, Jared and his partners have been acquiring and managing residential and commercial real estate for their own portfolio with over 1.8 million square feet of retail, multifamily, industrial, and residential acquisitions to date. The Geneva Group focuses primarily on neighborhood retail centers, light industrial and small bay warehouse complexes, office buildings, and multifamily apartment complexes. Jared, it is great to see you, and thank you for taking the time to join me on this episode for 15 for 15. I'm looking forward to hear what you are seeing out there in the market today. Can you just briefly expand on your bio, and then we'll dive right into some questions?
Sure. Thanks, John. I always feel like I'm a bit of the black sheep in our circles. We're first generation boots, ground up real estate guys. Where I started with single family homes in Atlanta, Georgia. I was buying them on the courthouse steps. I bought a Carlton Sheets course back in the 90s. I worked the course hard. I built up a portfolio of residential houses south of I-20 in Atlanta. If anybody's familiar with south of I-20, it's not the best part of Atlanta. I learned the good pockets from the bad pockets in that market extremely well. Sold the portfolio at the right time around 2007. Got into apartments in around 2010. So again, good timing, and really started looking for a way to build and grow a real estate business rather than just being a real estate investor. And that meant holding and being able to create, a nice rounded portfolio to cash flow and manage internally. So we started dabbling in all the different product types, trying to figure out what's the least management intensive where we can scale up. So I started focusing on retail, office, and industrial while still owning multifamily. Sold off multifamily probably a little too prematurely in probably 2012, and really stayed focused on office, retail, and industrial. And now we have about 1 million square feet, kind of a third. Again, managing throughout the Southeast internally within our portfolios within the Southeast, and we've been managing internally from South Florida.
That's great, thanks. And somebody who knows you really well, I know you are a deal junkie, and you're always out there scouring the earth to find deals, and I know you've had a lot of success. But before we dive into the market, you and I were talking before we went and recording this, and you mentioned something. Today's date is, I don't even know today's date, May 13th. And we're in South Florida, you're up north in Palm Beach County. And they just opened up restaurants. And you said that you went out with a couple of buddies last night and you guys went to dinner. So I know this is like so weird to say, it's such a simple thing. We've all done thousands upon thousands of times. What was it like? Walk me through it, because you're like the first guy I know that's like been out and in a restaurant. So before we dig into, because I know it's near and dear to your heart as well, because you own a lot of retail and you have a lot of clients that are like that. So I know you want to be out there supporting it. So walk me through what happened last night.
It was probably the best bottle of wine I ever had. Look, I am a little bit more intimately involved with the tenants that are in our complexes. So I understand what's going on with all these different small businesses. We probably have, 50 to 80 different industries scattered between all of our properties. So I'm seeing the effects, and I probably am a little bit of an anomaly. I'm looking to help the economy out as quickly as possible, but at the same time, exercising all the precautions that we know of. But it was an area in East Boca. It's an outdoor restaurant, well, at least outdoor seating. The closest table was 8 feet away. It was a large table. There was only 2 other people at the table. The maitre d' had a mask on. The waiters did not. And, nobody's obviously wearing masks, kind of hard to drink wine and have dinner with a mask on. So I think they took every precaution they could, and it's a lot. They can't be making money when they're generating a third of their revenue that they're used to on a random Tuesday or Saturday, even a Saturday night. So they did 150 meals, I think, on a Saturday night versus 400 meals, because I was asking all these questions to them too. And it's really just for them at the end of the day to stay relevant, so their customer base doesn't forget them. To let their customers know that they are now an option. Whether it's premature or not, we'll post game it in the next 6 months from now. But I wanted to help a small business out, and I know the other two that I was with was very comfortable based on how the tables were separated and how they were taking all the safety measures. I would do it again tomorrow. You want to go?
That's awesome. But it takes me to like the next thing, because I'm a multi guy. My whole world is really multifamily. But as I've started doing the 15 for 15, the idea was, hey, let me just interview 15 people. I think we're north of 30 people already. I've wanted to start finding out, because the multi, thank God for right now, as of May, is pretty status quo. So there's not much going up and down. So over the past few weeks, I've wanted to bring on people who are in the retail, the industrial, the office, who are seeing things differently than we're seeing in multi. I believe at some point, if you can't run a restaurant at 25%, right? So this is kind of what my point is getting to, is you're sitting there last night having dinner at 25%. And let's say it gets back to 50% or 75% they're allowed. A 400-seat restaurant, Joe Stonecraft, 400 plus, everyone knows Joe Stonecraft, can never really have more than 175 tables compared to people in there compared to their normal capacity. So that will start affecting the waiters, the waitresses, the bartenders, the people who sell them the food, who do their linens. And I think it's going to take a little time for it to creep back in. And that may be when multi feels it a little more. But just looking at the restaurants and looking at the bars and all that, I just don't know how a lot of these businesses survive. So with that question going to you is, look, you play in the office, you play in the industrial, and you play in the retail. Give me like an overview of what you're seeing and what you're hearing, and then we can dive into each one.
Across the board, collections have been, I'm sure you're hearing this from everybody, collections have been better than expected for April and now May. And I'm getting the feeling that I don't think we're wrong being concerned. I just think we're early. I don't think the effects have been felt yet from the small businesses. We're slowly getting requests for relief. As of yesterday, we just got our first 2 tenants in the more flex industrial side that are trying to exit their lease for financial difficulties. So these are tenants that aren't asking for rent relief. They're just saying, we need out, we can't make it. So that's starting to happen. And maybe I'm just the lucky one with the 2 tenants, but I think we're going to see more of that.
And walk me through that. They came to you, they good tenants before, what type of business? You don't have to say the business name, obviously, but there's a good case. Like whenever I find something that's relevant, like right now, walk me through what's really happening.
One's a cabinetry guy, more of a millwork guy, and the other one it does some type of steel fabrication. And again, look, those are probably more of the quote unquote mom and pops who were probably either highly leveraged or had financial difficulties prior to the pandemic, and this just put them over the edge. But I agree with you. I don't know how a lot of these companies and these businesses survive if they're making 35 to 45% of the revenue that they've been accustomed for a long period of time. It's the same thing with real estate. We all have enough cash reserves where we're all stressed, but we're not distressed. We're not yet anyway. So we all have a certain amount of cash reserves. But if one of my retail centers is averaging 43% rent collections right now, because I got gyms and restaurants and buffets and hair salons, I have cash reserves. But at the end of the day, even though we're only 58% leveraged across our portfolio, there's only so long we can collect 48% rents. And then the cost of backfilling the spaces of those businesses that go belly up in the downtime before we're hemorrhaging. So depends how long this goes out. But nobody can survive on 45, 50% of the revenue that they've been, kind of pro formaing over the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or however their business is.
And on these two industrial tenants, are they using force majeure to get out of the contract, or they just came to you as two nice guys saying, "Hey, man, we're busted. We just need help. Will you let us out?"
It's been surprising how much our smaller tenants have been communicating and doing everything they can to do the right thing. That's been a surprise here. It hasn't been the nationals who there's, some bad boys out there has been presented in a lot of different Zoom calls, but they're all trying to do the right thing. So I don't think it's anybody posturing. I really think these two particular businesses are hemorrhaging money and they're trying to figure out a way to stop the bleeding right now. And maybe that's taking their business back home. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Again, it all came up yesterday, but I think we're going to see more of that.
Yeah. No, I was talking to a mutual friend of ours who's big in the light industrial and the small bays. And he pretty much said, look, I gave everybody, just said, pay me April, and then I'll see you in September or, August. And, I think that's how people are trying to work with, with their clients and walk me through your office. Office, from what I'm understanding, is the collections have been much better.
Office has been amazing. We actually we don't have a ton of office. I mean, straight office. We have a couple mid-rises. One in particular is in downtown Lakeland. It's a tertiary market, as we know. Lakeland's a cool town and densely populated, but it's its own separate island in the middle of the state. And we expected some serious issues with that. We're 100% collections, not only April, but May, with not one tenant asking for rent relief. Part of that is our tenant base. We have a pretty strong tenant base, but we have a couple of the other regional and even mom and pop tenants. They're all doing okay. So I feel like the true white collar tenants are the ones that have been able to navigate through the loan programs better than the tradesmen. And I think that is keeping them afloat, at least for the next couple months. Where it stands in 3 to 6 months from now, only time will tell. But office has been surprisingly good right now. We're actually, with all of our office, including our flex office, that with no warehouse component, we're at 96%. I just looked at it this morning, 96% for May right now.
That's amazing. It's all because of management.
We do manage internally, and they don't have to go through a third party. So
but it says a lot when you're the owner and you're talking to people and you're out and you have relationships. I know with a lot of your tenants, and you're out there filling it yourself. And I think it goes a long way when two people can just sit down. Look, you're a father, their father or mother and a parent, and they understand. And I think when things like that happen, I know the real estate quote unquote landlords or the owners have been a little bit demonized, but at the end of the day, we're just regular people like everybody else. And we got into this business. It's like if you're a cabinet maker, you put cabinets and you expect that homeowner to pay you. And same thing where you're housing people. So, I think in the beginning, at least for the first few months, I think everybody is trying to be friendly and nice. And, I hope it stays that way. But like you said, I think the latter half of this year is going to be, as Warren Buffett famously said, you don't know who's not wearing a bathing suit until the tide goes out. And I think there's a lot of people swimming without trunks right now, and it'll be interesting.
And I think the big difference between like multifamily, which is what you guys manage, versus all the other product types, I really think you absolutely have got to have the intermediary for multifamily. Whereas I do feel, at least for us and what's worked for us, is a business-to-business relationship working with our tenants, our business tenants, is a lot different than multifamily.
Yeah.
We have multifamily, we always have third-party management. But for this has been has actually helped us where we can, it humanizes the conversation, letting our tenant base know that we're on the same side of the table with them, working together, not across from the table, trying to extract as much cash as we possibly can from them. And that's helped us out a lot, being internal managers for business to business.
That's great. So I told you 15 minutes flies by when you're having fun. So you ready for your lightning round?
Rock and roll.
Let's do it. Does the 10-year close over or under 1% in 2020?
Under.
Next time you're on an airplane, over or under 90 days?
Under, but I don't know if everybody would agree.
Next time you attend a networking event, over or under 90 days?
Under if it's available.
And I'll tell you this, you already answered. Next lunch or dinner, you're the first client I can say 100% positively under.
Without a doubt.
Will Trump win or lose?
Regardless of political leanings, if they don't replace who they have on the ticket on the Democrat side, I think it's Trump.
Does the stock market end over or under 20,000?
Under.
Do you think you'll be on a vacation the next 6 months?
Yes.
Perfect. Jared, I want to thank you for joining me today in this episode of 15 for 15. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone, we hope you all stay safe and practice social distancing and make sure to wash your hands. And I'll throw this out for Jared. Make sure to support your local businesses. If you have any questions or would like to find this video, please visit rkwresidential.com.